Welcome everybody to our live review of the Saramonic Blink500 Pro and the Hollyland Lark 150. So these are a couple of microphones that the respective companies sent to me free of charge. So I did not pay for these with my own money. And they gave these to me so I could do a review. I'm way behind on my review commitments. I've got a ton of things. So I spent a good portion of today doing a little bit of work with these and getting to know them a little bit. And so we're going to do this review live. Now, there is a pre-recorded element to this. We did do the outdoor distance tests earlier today. It's really cold out there right now. It's like 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're not going to do those right now. But what I wanted to do is just kind of run through these here really quickly. So what we'll do is we'll start by running through the features, and I want to show each of them to you. And then from there, we'll do some audio samples, and then Once we're done with that, we'll go to our distance tests. We'll do a little bit of cleanup just to kind of show you what's possible with these microphones. Again, lavalier microphones are not my #1 favorite because they almost always sound like lavalier microphones. So, and what I mean by that is they're attached to your body. So when you talk to somebody, you don't have your ear up against their body. So it always sounds a little bit weird. And so it often requires a little bit of EQ and post to really kind of make them shine or to make them match reasonably close to a boom microphone if you're cutting back and forth between them. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I'll give you my recommendations and then we'll go to questions and answers afterwards. So let's go ahead and show you each of these here. We're going to go to our overhead camera. First up, I'll show you the Hollyland Lark 150. And it comes in this case. It's a pretty tough kind of plastic case. And this case actually has a battery built into it, which is kind of interesting and actually kind of nice. And then once you open it, of course, you have the 2 transmitters here and here, and then this is the receiver. You can also fit a little cable in here, so this will be the cable that we'll use to connect it. When we do our audio samples, we're going to use our Panasonic GH5. It's not the newest camera in the world, but I think it's a pretty standard one. There's a lot of GH5s out there, and I think it's a pretty good test camera for this particular system. So the way this works is if you drop it in here, you'll see it kind of wakes up and it's looking for the 2 transmitters. As soon as it finds them, it'll give you the battery status. It's saying, okay, the case has a battery too, as I mentioned, and it's fully charged. That's why it's showing green. Now this transmitter is now fully charged at green. These 2 were charged earlier. I don't know if they'll make it back to green or not, but they're pretty close to full charge. So that's kind of an interesting feature, and I quite like that. It's kind of nice that you can, if you get your case charged up before a shoot, you can take this out with you, and then in between, so for example, if you maybe take a break for a meal or something, you can get these back, drop them in here, even if you don't have access to power, and this will charge them back up. So that's a pretty nice thing. And actually the Saramonic does that as well. We'll come to that in a minute. So here's the form factor for the receiver. It's actually pretty small. And what it does have on the bottom is just like the Rode Wireless Go, if you're familiar with that, has this little clip here that allows you to put it into the shoe mount on your camera. Now this one is pretty simple in terms of its controls. It basically just has the 2 dials here. And what we can do, let's pull out one of the transmitters and see if that gets connected up here. There we go. You can see it now, it's connected. Pairing is very simple. All you have to do is in this case, just literally put them in the case and they'll all pair up to each other. So this here, if I push in on this, that actually mutes it. Or it was supposed to mute it. What's going on here? Yeah, so when that turns orange, that means it's muted. And I believe we can mute it from here as well. So it should just be a tap. Oh, I know. It's this one. Okay. That was a little confusing there. So let's pull this one out as well. And I think there are different views. So let's go to a different... There we go. Okay. So now they're both muted. So I can unmute that one, unmute that one. Let's put this down here just to give ourselves a little room. Okay, so this is the one on there, that side, on the top. And this one is the bottom one. Okay. You can see on the transmitters, we have a microphone and we also have a 3.5mm input jack, and that input jack is to use the included lavalier microphones, or presumably you could use other lavalier microphones as well. Let me just grab one of those. Actually, here's the fur cover that goes on here if you're going to shoot outside. And here we go. Here's one of the lavaliers. Let me just pull this in here. Make a little room. Comes with a nice big alligator clip. These are not tiny lavalier microphones. It's actually a fairly large one. So really kind of made for going on the outside of clothing, not really for hiding underneath, although I suppose you could. And then it does have these foam covers. The foam covers have a little rubber gasket, which helps ensure they stay on, which is kind of nice. Goes on just like that. And as I said before, it's a 3.5mm. So that just plugs right in there. And on the transmitter, you'll notice it also has a clip, so that can be used to clip it onto a belt, or really a lot of these are actually made to go on to your kind of your clothing. Just kind of clip it on, something like that. I think that's a little distracting, but if you really have to move quickly and you don't even have time to put a lavalier microphone on, that's another option as well. So we'll come back to our overhead here. In addition to this cable right here, which is a TRS cable to feed the audio to your mirrorless camera or what have you, there is another one that it comes with. That's this cable right here. Let's make some more room here. This one you'll notice a little different. So the TRS output comes from the receiver, and then you have TRRS on this side. That goes into a smartphone or a mobile device or a laptop that has a headset input. So most modern laptops, you'll be able to use that with it. And this has the, let's see, actually that's another thing I should cover here on the receiver. We have an output here. So we can connect that. We're actually going to use this one here because we're connecting to the GH5 camera. On the opposite side, you have a headphone output. So you can listen in if your camera doesn't have a headphone output as well. Although most of the modern cameras do these days. It used to be more of a problem in the past, but nowadays most cameras do. Of course, with this right here, the charging case, you can see that's a USB-C connector there. It does also come with the USB-C cable, which is around here somewhere. Which I think it's this one here. Yeah, this is the one. Oh, I'm using the wrong lavalier mics. I just showed you the lavalier mics that go with the Saramonic. So scratch that. Let's get you the lavalier mics that go with the Lark 150. I figured I was showing the wrong thing. So it does come with a cable. It's a USB-C on one side, USB-A on the other side. That looks like this. So that just plugs in there. All right, coming back. This also does have the same cable. So here is the TRS to TRRS cable. These systems are almost identical, to be honest. Very similar in terms of what they include. So that's to connect to your smartphone. This one, they actually color-coded it, so the gray one is the one that would connect to your smartphone. These lavaliers are also somewhat big, although they're a little different. If I pop, this one does not have the rubber gasket on the foam, and that microphone looks even larger to me. So again, not the tiniest of lavalier microphones, but again, this one's really made for the outside of the clothing, not to hide or to bury underneath the clothing. This one, okay, there we got the foam on. And the alligator clip's a little smaller on this one, but again, will do the job just fine. The cable on this one looks a little bit, no, actually looks very similar. Same thing, plug it in, 3.5 millimeter, and you're ready to go. Interestingly, the settings, if you need to set the input gain on this, are actually done here. So you get to change it with these dials here, which is nice. So once you put this on your talent, the people that are going to be wearing it, you don't have to ask to get back to them to change any of the settings. You can do all that from the receiver. So pretty nice thing there. All right. Let's see, what else did I miss here? I don't think I missed anything else. I think that's kind of the general overview of this one. So let's box this guy back up and put it back for now. Get it nice and charged up for our little sample that we're going to do here in a few minutes. Pop that in, close that up, and get it out of the way. Okay. Oh, also the fur cover. That was the fur cover for the Saramonic. This is the fur cover for the, actually let's go back to that overhead just really quickly here. Here's the cover for the Lark 150. This is actually a different design, and I kind of like this actually. This one is different because it has on the bottom this kind of, it's basically a 3.5 millimeter. It's really hard to see. This one's got a little extra hair coming off of it too. But what that does is that actually fits into the microphone input jack. That's what secures it to the body here. And it has a little part that comes down along the side to help prevent the wind from coming up underneath. Pretty nice design there. I actually like that quite a bit. You'll see the Saramonic is a little bit different how it fits on, and I don't think it goes on quite as nicely as this one does. So that's what that looks like with the fur cover on. All right. So there is the Hollyland. And Hollyland is an interesting company. We have reviewed some of their wireless video transmission kits, but we've never done, this is their first time doing a wireless microphone system. They have a lot of experience with wireless, so it kind of makes sense. All they had to do in this case was learn audio. a little bit more about audio. So just shutting all this down here. There we go. Excuse me. All right, let's pull out the Saramonic now. Okay, there we go. Saramonic also comes in a box. Also, this box has a battery in it. And likewise, it has USB-C to USB-A. It's almost as if these guys copied each other and just used slightly different design cues. But this one has a couple of buttons up front. There is a button to open up the box, so you have that control there. And this is the pair button. So when you need to pair everything, you put them all here in the box in their respective spots, and you press the pair button. Here we have 4 LEDs that indicate the status of the battery for the box, charging box, and this is what this looks like. So we have our receiver and 2 transmitters. Obviously, these are all dual channel microphone systems, so you get 2 transmitters to 1 receiver. And in both cases, actually, that's something I didn't cover on the Hollyland, but you can switch that. When it's outputting to the camera, you can output a mono signal that's already mixed both of the inputs and puts both of those out to the left and the right on the camera. Or you can set it to stereo mode, where it sets transmitter 1 to go out the left channel into the camera and transmitter 2 to go out the right channel into the camera. So you can keep the 2 channels separate. Really nice. Glad to see that Hollyland did that, and Saramonic has also done that. I actually reviewed the Blink500, the original, back in 2019, I think it was, and it was okay. It wasn't my favorite. It didn't sound that great, and the dynamic range was incredibly low, so it wasn't my favorite. But I feel like with the Blink500 Pro, they've done a lot to improve it. So I think they've taken a nice step forward here. And this is this one comes in at $300 or $299. And the Hollyland comes in at $329. So they're fairly similarly priced. Hollyland is about $30 more expensive. All right. We already covered the USB-C cable. In this case, likewise, it has the TRS to TRRS cable. So if you want to send the audio from the receiver into a smartphone or a mobile device or your laptop or what have you, you can use this cable, which is included. When you're sending it to a camera, comes with a dual 3.5 millimeter TRS cable, coiled, and it's actually a pretty substantial cable. I feel like the cables are a little bit more substantial on the Saramonic kit. I don't know if they're better shielded or just a thicker kind of sheathing on them, but in any case, they seemed a little tougher. So that's good. None of them lock. We do get this fur cover to use with the transmitters. And just like on the Hollyland, you do have a built-in microphone on the transmitter, so you can wear it just like you would some of the others, where you would clip it here to your shirt, for example. And in fact, during our distance test, that's what we did. We put the fur cover on and just attached it up here. And that's how we did that. All right. You can also see there is, interestingly, it's a little bit difficult to see, but it actually says here, mic/line in. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. And the reason I'm excited about that is that you could use this to send audio, for example, from your audio mixer to a camera, because it could take a line level signal from your audio recorder and send that over to your camera. So that's pretty cool. So this gets some props from my point of view. Now, I wouldn't do that to necessarily send your production audio. It would be more like a scratch audio feed, but nevertheless, it's a pretty simple and fairly affordable way to do what we call a camera hop, to send audio from your audio recorder over to your camera. All right, these turn on by pressing and holding this button that's a shared mute button and power button. We'll just get all these fired up here. Coming online. Okay, so again, receiver right here. What's interesting about the Saramonic system is you can also power the individual units. It has a USB micro input. Now the case is USB-C. These are USB micro, and it also comes with a USB-A to USB micro cable. I guess if you're doing a really long piece and you needed to power it and it wasn't going to last long enough, you could power it that way as well. And I assume they used USB micro just to keep I don't know if internally USB micro takes up less space than USB-C. I'm not sure, but for whatever reason, they used USB micro on the unit, the transmitters themselves and the receiver. in fact. So, okay, you can see this one's all paired up and ready to go as well. We have some simple controls here as well. You can come through and there's a set button on the side here along with a minus button. They're plus and minus or set. And you can scroll through here and change some of the settings here. So you can change your default language. You can either enable or disable the mute key for each one. You can tell it how long to keep the backlight on. Here's where you can change it from, mono or stereo. So we can change that here. So again, stereo would take so that one channel goes out the left and one channel goes out the right from the receiver into the camera. So you can keep these two separate, which is a nice feature. Again, that's something you couldn't do on the original Blink500, which that was actually one of the cons we listed. Sounds like they listened to all of us. So thanks everyone for your input on that. I know a lot of people were disappointed about that one, so that's a nice change. And then we can also, let's just go ahead and scroll through there again. I found the controls a little bit non-intuitive. Once you figure them out, it's not too bad. But here, for example, I hold the button to get into that particular menu, and then I use the minus button to change it. So we're going to go ahead and leave that at mono. Whoops, no, we're not. See, that's the thing that's not very intuitive. Now I have to press and hold to select that, and I can scroll through again. Okay, so now we're back to the main page there. All right, as I showed you before, I think we actually showed you the lavalier, or mistakenly we showed you the Saramonic lavalier when we were showing you the Lark 150 earlier, but this is what the lavalier microphone looks like. Again, this is the one with the rubber gasket, which I rather like. This one seems a little bit larger in diameter, but not quite as long. If we can compare those here, actually. Okay, this one right here that I'm holding is from the Lark 150, and this one right here is from the Saramonic. So you can see the Saramonic is actually a little bit smaller there overall, which is good. And again, that foam cover, I like that rubber gasket. That makes it a lot easier to get it on or get it off of the microphone. All right. What else do we need to cover here? I think that's everything in terms of showing you, kind of giving you a tour around. So what we want to do now is I want to get this set up on our test camera and actually put one of the receiver or one of the transmitters on myself, one on Emma, who is our technical director tonight, and we will give you a little audio test. So I'm going to give you this. I'm going to put this on me, and I am going to put the receiver, which is currently in mono mode, incidentally, so it will actually mix our audio down to mono and send it out both channels, left and right. So I'm going to plug this into the line out. This is going to go on top of our Panasonic GH5. Give me just a second here. I'm going to try not to bump anything. Okay. Okay, now let me switch over to that particular microphone. That is cam 3, is that right?
I don't know, you labeled it as test cam.
Yeah, cam 3. Okay. Oh, you just coughed into the microphone. Good job. Now you're getting kind of the behind the scenes here. You're just going to see me. Emma's over here. Go ahead and put yours on and
Can I just hold it?
Yeah, I guess you're going to have to hold it because you're not wearing something that has an easy place to clip.
This sweater would just fold.
Totally fine. So you're hearing the Saramonic right now, the Blink500 Pro, and I think to me, I will just close this right now. I felt like this one sounded a little bit nicer. Sorry, the white balances. I feel like we're overexposed here. Let's pull that down a little bit. That's a little bit closer to reality. Okay. I felt like the Saramonic Blink500 Pro sounded a little bit nicer, a little bit more natural than the Hollyland, but it also sounded a little bit more self-noise, I thought.
We clipped a little bit right there.
We clipped?
Yeah.
Oh, we need to change our input level, or our levels on here. I have the limiter on the GH5 turned off, so you're getting kind of the raw sound here. Don't worry about it. We're almost done with this one.
Okay.
So my bad there. Normally I would have the limiter on, but for a microphone test, I didn't want to have it on, just so you could get the full sound. And this is what it's like. Okay. What else do you have to say?
It's cold.
It's cold.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No. I wish I wasn't in Utah. That's all.
Okay. Well, Emma's not really a skier, so okay. We're going to switch back over to this microphone and this camera. Okay, no sound.
There it is.
All right. Sorry about that. We've got a lot going on here, and I unmuted the wrong channel, so we're good now, I think. If it's not good, let us know, but I think we're back on the mic here. Anyway, I dropped all of this back into the box here, and you can see it automatically started charging. We're not plugged into USB-C, so it's actually charging from the battery in the case here. So kind of a cool little thing. I'm pretty impressed. They've come a long way, and definitely, I would say this for sure right now. If you're going to buy a dual channel consumer grade wireless microphone system like the Saramonic or the Lark, and it's coming down for you between the Saramonic Blink500 and the Blink500 Pro, I would definitely go with the Blink500 Pro. It's so much better than the original Blink500. So don't, and I think it's only $50 more. So I think it's totally and completely and utterly worth that additional price, that additional money. So there is the Saramonic. Okay, so we'll put that over here. Now it's time to pull out the Hollyland. We're going to go ahead and get this connected up. Okay, so line out is on this side. Is it? No, that doesn't look right. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, it goes this way. We're putting this on the GH5 here. Okay, we've got our transmitters here. All right, let's go ahead and let's switch over to this. Okay, you should be hearing us now on the Hollyland Lark.
Correct. I have to take my headphones off because hearing myself in my own ear is very...
It's very distracting.
Distracting,
Incredibly distracting. Okay, so you can switch us over to the GH5 here, where the color temp is way, way cold. That's super warm. Anyway, at least we look alive there. Ooh, that's horrible. Anyway, not to get too distracted here, but this is what it sounds like.
This is what it sounds like here.
Okay, so what I'm seeing here is this is actually in what is called safety track mode. So that's another feature that this one has that I don't believe the Saramonic has. It does have a feature where it's recording at the regular gain setting on the left channel, both of us right now. And then on the right channel, it's recording a lower level signal. So if you clip, you have something else you can fall over to. So it has that when you're in mono mode. And then of course you can go to stereo mode as well, where I would be on the left channel and Emma would be on the
right channel.
Right channel.
I wasn't listening. That scared me.
I know, and you're not talking very much.
Should I be talking more?
Well, we just want to kind of give everyone the sense for how this sounds.
Oh, okay.
Emma's at a loss for words because she's got a lot of things going on right now.
Yeah, I do.
She's operating the switcher here. Okay, I think that's going to do it for this one. Let's go ahead and mute that, and I'll go back over to my regular microphone. Okay, we're back on our regular microphone, and we have sound. All right, we did it better that time. Good job. All right, so there is a sample from the Hollyland Lark 150. Go ahead and let us know in the chat there how that sounds. And we'll go ahead and get this packed up again. All right. That turned off. Okay. Pack this back into the box here. You can see as we drop it in. Let's go ahead and switch to the overhead cam. As we drop that in, it's going to check the status, the battery status of all those, and you can see it's we're in green status here on the case, so it's got plenty of charge, and now it's going to start charging those other three that we just dropped back in. So there we go on the Hollyland Lark 150. All right. I just dropped something 1 second here. Okay. Got the cable. That's one other thing. Let me just show you this again on the overhead here. One thing I did see somebody complain about was that in the Saramonic box, there's no room for any of the cables. On the Lark 150, there actually is room at least for the cable that you use to connect it to your camera, which is nice. So you can keep that in there. I don't know if you could really stuff all of the lavaliers in here as well, but at least that one cable you can fit in there. So that's cool. All right. Back to our main cam here. And let's just see where we're at. Okay. So we got some audio samples. We gave you the tour of the features. Let's do a distance test. Now the distance test, it's too cold to do that right now. However, we did brave the cold. It was actually a beautiful day today. It was kind of partly sunny, beautiful snowy day. And so let me just play for you some distance tests that I did. That'll take I think it's about 8 minutes or so. And we'll run through that for you. You can see what those look like, and we'll come back right after that, which is called, okay. And we'll come back right after that, which is called, okay. And we'll come back right after that. This time we're using the Blink500 Pro. I have it mounted just here. And again, we're using the included fur cover. We're about 5 meters away right here, maybe 6. And we're going to go ahead and do our distance test here. Let's say 5. This is probably 5 right here. Yeah, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 25 meters, still direct line of sight. Well, as I turned around. So again, these don't do terribly well outdoors, especially wide open spaces. So let's see how we do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 21. All right, this is our 25 here. This is 50 meters, roughly. Standing right here. It's a little chilly out. The storm that was just here is blowing out right now. And this will be interesting to see how this does as far as rejecting or managing wind, moving across the microphone capsule as well. So we'll keep going here. 1, 4, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17. Okay, here it is. Here's the stopping point here, I think. All right, we're now 75 meters. I don't know if you can still see me. I think we might be out of the camera angle of view, but we're at 75 meters with direct line of sight between the transmitter and receiver. Keep going. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Here's 100 meters. I don't even think there's direct line of sight between the transmitter and receiver now. And this is 100 meters. So we're going to head back. Nine, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 25. All right, back to 75 meters. Probably, again, just outside of the angle of view of the camera, but we do have direct line of sight with the transmitter and the receiver. Keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to bet that the local ski resorts are just packed today. It's a beautiful day for skiing. And instead we're out testing microphones. This is 50 meters roughly. Right here, we'll keep coming. Back toward the camera. Again, we now have direct line of sight. Where was the... Oh, it's right up here. Here's the 25 meter mark right here. Ooh, should have brought the sunglasses. Good thing we're not going to stay out long. Coming back up, and here we are, back at about 6 meters. So that's the Saramonic Blink500 Pro. Of course, we've got 3 helicopters right when I go to record sound. Of course, right there, 3. Military, I'm not sure. Blackhawk? I don't know. I don't know how to identify those. Okay, so I guess they're going on a walk. I'm doing an audio test. I'm using the Lark 150. It's mounted just here. You guys can go. Enjoy.
3 helicopters.
Yeah, perfect timing, huh? All right, so here's a test. This is a distance test. There are helicopters, 3 of them, flying off that way. And I'm wearing the Lark 150. The transmitter's just here. I'm using the included fur cover because it is a little bit windy out here. Welcome to the Rocky Mountains in February. And we are about 1, 2, 3, 4, say 5 to 6 meters from the camera right now. These 2.4 gigahertz systems don't do super well outdoors, so keep your expectations low. All right, I'm going to turn around. Here we go. Wait, I'll take off from where I was. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 meters, roughly. 25 meters away I'm now facing, so there's now direct line of sight between the receiver and the transmitter. I suspect that as I turn away, it drops out entirely. Let's keep going. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 47, 48, 49, 50. All right, this is 50 meters away. If you can still see me over here. Now I'm, again, direct line of sight. I turned away, so I was obstructing the signal potentially there. Let's keep going. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 58, 59, 60, 61, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75. I don't know if you can still see me over here, but I'm now 75 meters away. Direct line of sight between the transmitter and the receiver. Keep going. 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 87, 88, 89. Of line of sight. This is 100 meters away. I'm going to come back. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. All right, this should be about 75 meters again. I don't know if you can see me or not, but here I am. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Oh, that's where I stood before. This is about 50 meters away. Now we've got the sunshine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Again, where I stood. This is pretty good. All right, 25 meters away. Standing right here for cover. Let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Well, there we are. We're back to about 5 to 6 meters right here. So there's a test with the Lark 150. All right. So hopefully that gives you a good sense for kind of what you can expect outdoors. I would say probably pretty reliable up to about 50 meters. And that's even when I had my back turned. So again, remember it was on the front of me clipped right here. So I had my back turned to the camera. It held on pretty well for both systems actually up until about 50 meters. After that it was spotty, and it pretty reliably would drop out when I had my back to the camera and the transmitter, on the other side of me. As soon as, even at 100 meters, when I turned around and faced the camera, we got signal again. But as soon as the, if it didn't have that direct line of sight, that's when it falls apart. So keep that in mind. If one of these are in your future here, I think reliably you could probably expect about 50 meters, especially if you keep direct line of sight. And even less than 25 meters when I turned around, we had no issues whatsoever. So pretty consistent with some of the other 2.4 gigahertz wireless systems I've used before. So nothing surprising there. I think these both did, I would say good. They did a good job overall. All right. What I want to do next is actually, I want to, which channel is the computer on? The computer's on 2. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the audio for the computer. And I want to just make sure that you're getting the audio from my computer, because I want to show you some things here when we bring the files into post. Let's go ahead and switch over to the Mac here. All right, let me just play a little bit here. This is from the Blink500, just a sample audio clip that I did. Oh, stand by, of course. We need to change our, oh, it doesn't like that. Okay, fair enough. Output. Give me just a second here. Let's see if we can get this going. If we go to our output, we're going to go to the decimator. And let me just restart Isotope. Let's go ahead and switch back to the main camera here. Live streams are so awesome. You're like living on the very edge where anything could go wrong at any second. And often it does. So it doesn't look like that's going to happen here. Okay, well, for whatever reason, Core Audio, oh wait, actually it is. Haha, switch back over to the Mac. Let's see if we get this here. Okay. Not playing out the audio. Why would it not be playing out the audio? If we go into preferences, oh, because it didn't save it. Okay, try again. Maybe it's cleaner performance. I don't know. The inbuilt. Okay, now it's playing the audio. Very good. So what I want to do here is, let me just show you a couple of things. So what I've done is I have 4 different samples here. I have the Blink500 with a lavalier mic, with one of its included lavalier mics, the Blink500 without the lavalier mic, just using the inbuilt microphone in the transmitter. Same thing for the Lark 150. Here's with the lavalier. Here is without the lavalier. And what I did is I normalized all of these to -23 LUFS. So they're the same perceived loudness. And what I can do from there is just sort of measure this section here, what I call the practical noise floor. So this is a section where I didn't talk and I was in a fairly quiet space, so the exact same space. Everything was pretty much the same here. And you can see here, this came out, my total RMS level came out to minus 61. So to be honest, that's a little bit noisier than I would like to hear. Certainly on good microphones. On wireless, a consumer wireless system, it's not surprising to me. I like the finished audio to have the total RMS level for the silent portions where there's no talking sitting below minus 60. The problem is that normally I would loudness normalize, for example, for a YouTube video. I'd go louder than this. I wouldn't go to just minus 23. I'd probably aim for minus 17. So that would be a boost of about 6 dB. That would put our total RMS level here in the non-talking portions, our room tone, if you would, somewhere around the minus 55 range, which is really too noisy. So from my point of view, you're really probably going to need to do, unless you're operating in a really noisy space, you're probably going to want to do some post work to kind of clean that up a little bit. Otherwise, you are going to pick up some of that room sound here. So let me just play some of this back here. In any case, this is the Blink500 Pro with the included lavalier microphone. There's a shower running at the moment. I don't know if you can hear that. Okay, so my assessment is I actually prefer the overall sound quality of the Blink500, to be honest, either with the lavalier microphone or without. Here's without. Let me just play a little bit of this for you. It had this almost sounded like a ground loop, so there was some sort of buzz or hum going on there. And we're hopefully not getting that this time. So let's see what we get. And then we can just measure this here as well. Here's again our room tone for this particular case. Waveform stats, that's also about minus 61, minus 62. So again, I'd like to see it a little quieter, but that is what we're getting there. Over here to the Lark 150. Now, the Lark 150, one thing that we didn't mention when we were talking about the feature set on the Lark 150, and they're kind of a little, I don't know if cagey is the right term, but they're not entirely forthcoming here, but they do mention here, for example, another thing, latency, less than 5 milliseconds latency on the Hollyland, which is good. They talk about, where is it? It wasn't here. They just say pro sound quality. Okay, here they say with digital signal processor, intelligent noise cancellation, anti-vibration sound chamber design, ultra-wide frequency response, ultra-high signal to noise ratio, plus built-in high sensibility. I don't know what that means, high sensibility. Omnidirectional microphone on transmitter for high precision sound pickups, and the system's professional sound. In any case, it appears that they have some sort of noise reduction built into this thing. And let's go ahead and play a sample back for you so you can hear what it sounds like. And this is where I feel like it doesn't sound as good right out of the recorder. Let me just get the one here without the lavalier microphone. Here's what it sounds like. Receiver is on top of the camera. I'm just using the one transmitter at the moment. Input level is set to minus 12 on the camera, and we're set to 7, I believe, out of 20 on the receiver. So it says that it's a line output. I don't know if it actually can do line. Okay, then here's with the lavalier. The Blink500 seems to sound better on my voice, but it produces a lot more self-noise. So there's some hiss, pretty substantial hiss actually. This seems to have less self-noise, but sounds a little more nasally. So this one would require a little bit of EQ. Okay. Measure that there so you can see here. There may be a breath in there, I'm not entirely sure, but this is showing a total RMS of minus 58, so it's not actually doing that great either. But it does seem like whether it's a microphone or it's a digital signal processing, it's making my voice sound a little nasally, to be entirely honest. Let's go ahead and do some EQ and just see what we can do with this. Go ahead and reset that. Now we're recording with the Lark Lark 150 with the included lavalier microphone here. So this is the test. So what I've observed so far, the Blink500 seems to sound better on my voice, but it produces a lot more self noise. So there's some hiss, pretty substantial hiss actually. This seems to have less self noise, but sounds a little more nasally. So this one would require a little bit of EQ for my voice at least to get it sounding a little nicer. So Lark 150 with the included lavalier. I'm not sure what the lavalier sounds like just yet. Hopefully, excuse me. Now we're recording with the Lark 150 with the included lavalier microphone here. So this is the test. So what I've observed so far, the Blink500 seems to sound better on my voice, but it produces a lot more self noise. So there's some hiss, pretty substantial hiss actually. This seems to have less self noise, but sounds a little more nasally. So this one would require a little bit of EQ for my voice at least to get it sounding a little nicer. So Lark 150 with the included lavalier. I'm not sure what the lavalier sounds like just yet. Hopefully. Now we're recording with the Lark 150 with the included lavalier microphone here. So this is the test. So what I've observed so far, the Blink500 seems to sound better on my voice, but it produces a lot more self noise. So there's some hiss, pretty substantial hiss actually. This seems to have less self noise, but sounds a little more nasally. So this one would require a little bit of EQ for my voice at least to get it sounding a little nicer. So Lark 150 with the included lavalier. I'm not sure what the lavalier sounds like just yet. Hopefully. Now we're recording with the Lark 150 with the included lavalier microphone here. So this is the test. So what I've observed so far, the Blink500 seems to sound better on my voice, but it produces a lot more self noise. So there's some hiss, pretty substantial hiss actually. Well, there's a little better. I feel like there's a fair bit of work that would need to be done. So in any case, that's what that looks like, and there's some work that can be done. So we added a little bit low end. There are a couple of resonances here, 1K and 2K. The 2K was really bad. It kind of almost whistly. And then there's some sibilance there that I was trying to address here as well. But it still sounds like the high frequencies are weird because they seem to really kind of push the sibilance, but miss a lot of the other high frequencies. So that's kind of the downside from my point of view as far as the Lark 150 is concerned. So it's just not the best sounding microphone. Not bad. I mean, this is from the standpoint that it's, it's Hollyland's very first shot at a lavalier microphone as far as I can tell. So they've got the wireless part down pretty decently. And see, we're over to our main cam here. I am going to mute the computer for now. We have a good question here from Dan, and I want to address that in just a minute. Let me just wrap up a couple of other things here really quickly, and I'm going to come back to that. So let me just kind of give my recommendations here. Of these two, they're both pretty decent. They're not on par with professional systems, but of course we're not buying a professional system here. We're buying a consumer grade 2.4 gigahertz wireless mic system with 2 transmitters, a single dual channel receiver. It can go directly into your camera. Of these two, I really probably prefer the Saramonic. I think just directly out of the Saramonic, the sound quality was a little better. There is a fair bit of hiss, so you are going to probably have to do some cleanup in post. But I like that. I like the fact that you could send a line level into the transmitter, so I could transmit audio from my audio mixer to a camera to use this as a camera hop. And in fact, that's probably what I'll be using it for. Don't tell Saramonic. I like that. I like the case. I like the design of the Hollyland a little bit better, but the sound quality just isn't quite what I was looking for. I was hoping for a little bit better there. I like the case design a little bit better. I like the design of the transmitters and the receiver a little bit better. But anyway, those are my recommendations there. So if I had to choose one of these two, I'd probably choose a Saramonic if I had to choose today. For my uses, there may be cases where for you, the Hollyland is a good choice as well. And if you've already bought the Hollyland, I'm not here to say that it's a horrible choice. I'm just saying, I think comparing these two, I think the edge goes to the Saramonic in my mind a little bit. So, all right, let's hop back to that question. It was a great question, and it was comparing the Sennheiser XSWD and what was the other one that was on there? Rode Wireless Go. So, of course, those two systems are only single channel receiver systems. So that's one big drawback for those two. In terms of sound quality, I felt like the Wireless Go was probably more in line with the Hollyland. So I like the new Saramonic Blink500 Pro a little bit better in terms of the audio quality right out of the device. XSWD was pretty good. It comes with this, it does not have an inbuilt microphone, as I recall, on the transmitter. It comes with a lavalier microphone, and that lavalier microphone is the ME2 which is an awkward name for a microphone, but it's not the best microphone in the world. It's very crisp, and with my voice, it's a horrible match. It's an okay microphone if you're working with voices that are a little bit darker and don't have a lot of high-end kind of energy to them, a lot of sibilance and other stuff like that. So it could be that if you do have a kind of a brighter voice or a lot of sibilance, that may not be the best fit. In any case, in terms of the wireless quality, I felt like the Sennheiser was definitely in line with the Saramonic and the Hollyland. From my recollection, and it's been a while, the Wireless Go didn't do super well outdoors. It did great indoors, but as soon as you got outdoors, it felt like it fell apart pretty quickly. Even just walking away with it, if I was wearing it here on the front and I was walking away from the camera, even within 25 meters, I felt like it started cutting out a little bit. So that's kind of my overall assessment. So again, if I was choosing any of those systems, if I only needed a single transmitter or a single channel receiver, I'd probably choose the Sennheiser, I think. And if I needed dual channel, I'd probably go with the Saramonic. So those are some of my thoughts there on that. What else have we got out there in the chat? Emma's scrolling through, checking to see what she can find here for us. Thanks to Emma for doing the technical direction tonight. We appreciate that. All right, any recommendations on a cheap lens for my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K? Well, it really depends on what you're shooting. Probably the most versatile lens I have in micro four thirds mounts is the Panasonic 12-35 f2.8. It is a lens that I use a ton. Just a very practical lens. It's sharp. I'm not really a lens reviewer, so this is from my own experience. It's just been a great lens for me. That's probably the one I would choose. It's not exactly cheap. So for cheap lenses, the only two lenses I actually have for the micro four thirds system are actually that one, the 12-35, and an Olympus 45mm f1.8. Both have been very good lenses for me. The 45mm 1.8 is a lot cheaper. That was the one we're using here on our overhead cam, actually. That's a Panasonic GH5S that we're using up there. It's a fast lens. It's 1.8. It's a very sharp lens. Everything looks nice on it. I like it, but it's fixed at 45mm. So it's kind of a short telephoto lens, I guess I would call it, on a micro four thirds body. So on the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, it would be that as well. That's been a good lens for me too. I think you can get that one for $350. I don't know what cheap is in your book, what exactly budget level you're looking for. If you go less than that, it's going to be generally it's going to be the zoom lenses that are kind of much slower in aperture. And I don't really have any experience with those, so I apologize on that. But those are some thoughts there. Hopefully that's helpful for you.
Referring to the Lark kit.
Okay. Can you use two sets at the same time? I don't have, more than one set of each of these. So my experience has been in a number of the people that I've talked to who have tried to use more than one kit at a time is that they start getting dropouts even at close range. And it depends largely on what else is going on in the space where you're at. Okay, so keep in mind, both of these and the Wireless Go, and I can't remember on the Sennheiser XSWD, they might be using 1.9 gigahertz. I'm not sure. But I think that's actually 2.4 gigahertz as well. Just keep in mind, that's the same frequency range that Wi-Fi uses, and cordless phones, and There's just it's an unregulated frequency band, and so that means anything goes there. If you're in a spot where there's already some activity in that band, these are going to struggle to keep up. Now, I've generally had pretty good experience when I'm doing my corporate video. We have a really heavy Wi-Fi environment there, and it does pretty well there. I think it's especially when you're around things that are not Wi-Fi, that are still using that band. So cordless phones and things like that. That's where things start getting really dicey because they're not going to cooperate as well. Now, one of the things that both of these systems do is they do some pretty sophisticated hopping around within that band to try to avoid any sort of problems. But they can't always do that. And so, especially if there's a lot of activity there. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So I would say if you really need 4 channels, I don't know. I guess you'd be taking your chances. And I don't have a clear answer beyond that. It might work in your space and it might not. I would just be really careful. That's where using a UHF system instead of a 2.4 gigahertz system is probably a good idea. So those are the thoughts. Okay. DPA 4018 or Sennheiser MKH 8050. Whoa, now we suddenly jumped from cheap systems to pro systems or pro mics. So to be honest, I've never used the 4018. I've heard some tests with it. Just to be clear, these are small diaphragm condenser microphones. Typically, both are super cardioid, and they're typically used for booming indoors. I have the MKH 8050 as my primary indoor boom mic. I love it. I haven't used the 4018, so I can't really say for sure. I have not been disappointed with my 4017B from DPA. It is an amazing microphone that has sounded good, or at least realistic, on every voice I've put through it. I think it's a toss-up. I think some people would probably, you get people that say both ways. I think probably DPA 4018 is what you're going to see more of. The pro production sound mixers would probably opt for that versus a Sennheiser. I'm not positive, but then again, there are a lot of mixers that are using the MKH 50, the original, and the 8050 is an updated version of that. So I don't know. I think it could go either way. I wish I had the 4018 and could tell you definitively what my opinion is, but I love my 8050. I'll say that. All right. Deciding between the Lark 150 and the Deity Connect system. Anyone have any opinions on this? I would say this, that the Deity system is a little bit more flexible. You get more control over some of the settings. You can increase the latency, for example, if you are having trouble keeping in connection. I think the chances of getting the Connect system to work with more than 2 channels at a time are probably better than some of these systems where you don't have any. You basically have no settings if things aren't going well, if you're getting dropouts with these systems. With the Deity Connect, you can at least increase the latency, which may make things go a little bit out of sync, so you may have to do some work to kind of line them back up in post again. However, and especially if you're shooting with a boom mic that's wired into an audio recorder and the Deity Connect system at the same time, because those will be out of sync as well. But increasing the latency, what that does is it gives the Deity Connect system more time to switch between frequencies and find some little channel that's working better, where there's not as much interference, so you can reduce the chances of those dropouts. That's probably my recommendation on that front. If you want something that's smaller and simpler to use, actually the Deity Connect, it's a little bit more involved. There's more menu, but that just gives you more options. So it's really, if you want super simple and you're only going to do 2 channels, I would go with the Saramonic. If you want something that gives you more flexibility and more power, then probably the Deity Connect is a better choice. The Deity Connect is also a more, it's a bigger system, whereas the Saramonic and the Saramonic at least have other options. So they have some receivers for mobile phones as well. So you can get one with a Lightning connector, you can get one with a USB-C connector output, so you work with your Android or your iOS device. So you have a little bit more flexibility there. The Deity Connect is also a system. It has a plug-on transmitter for XLR mics. They're supposed to be coming out with another system, which is a transceiver, so you can actually use that as basically an IFB or being able to send audio to someone on the crew for your shoot if you need to do that. So there are a few more options there. So they're kind of not in the same range. Also, the Deity Connect is way more expensive. So they all have inbuilt batteries. So you're limited on that front. They can all be powered via USB. So that's good. These systems here do have the cases with the batteries in them. The Deity Connect does not. So with the Deity Connect, you have to actually connect it to some sort of USB power source to charge up each of the transmitters and the receiver. I would say the Deity Connect has a much tougher build. It's more substantial, it's bigger, but it's also, I think, a little tougher. So it could probably withstand more abuse than these systems could. So there's some thoughts on that. Any others?
Lots more, but we're at time.
We're at time. Okay, I'm told that we have to end this now. What I want to say really quickly is if you are, if you'd like, we're going to do a sound for video session tomorrow. If you're a sound nerd and you want to learn more about sound, we do that every Sunday at noon U.S. Mountain Time. And that's over on my other channel, which is the Curtis Judd audio channel. We've got one tomorrow where we're going to talk a little bit about setting up your Mix Pre, Sound Devices Mix Pre, or a Zoom F-Series recorder to record your computer. And we'll probably also do a demo of a Boundary microphone if you're not familiar with those, to get a sense for those. And we'll also do a question and answer session there as well. So get out there and make some great sound. We will talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody.